Now that I have your attention, good evening and welcome to the May 1st meeting of the school board at Moherman Elementary School. I'd like to thank Principal Goldsmith and the staff of Moherman School for hosting us. It's a beautiful school. I'd also like, before we begin, to welcome our newest member, Renee Bennett. Congratulations, her first meeting.
Thank you.
And we can begin with the approval of the agenda, if we can have a motion. Denise?
I'll motion to approve the agenda.
All right. And a second? From Heather? Are there any changes or discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor of the agenda approval? 7 in favor, student rep in favor. Is anyone here for public comments? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to the approval of the minutes. We have 2 sets of minutes to approve. We'll begin with the April 10th regular meeting. Oh, April 10th was the additional meeting, I apologize. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve April 10th additional meeting.
Okay, from Denise in a second. Gianna? And any changes? Denise?
I have one simple one, which I did not send ahead of time, because I believe that Jessica was a school board member in Nottingham or Northwood. It wasn't
Nottingham.
Brentwood.
She
Yeah.
was in Nottingham.
Okay, it definitely wasn't. I know it wasn't Brentwood, and it says Brentwood in the minutes, so.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it was, she lives in Nottingham. She was part of the regional.
Northwood.
Northwood.
Yeah.
That's true. Thanks.
Any other changes to the April 10th? Yes, Jenna?
One small change, one larger one. At the end of page 1, the last sentence is just a typo of the wrong its. Its apostrophe s needs to be changed to its. And then at the end of page 1, where it says, now where'd it go? Nope, that was actually just for April 10th. One is for the next one. So just that change.
Okay. Any others? Okay, all in favor of approving the additional meeting minutes from April 10th as amended? 7 in favor, student rep in favor? Oh, I'm sorry, 6 in favor. Renee is
Abstain.
Yes, I apologize. And now a motion to approve the April 17th regular meeting minutes. Brian? And a second?
I'll second.
From Denise. Any changes to those minutes? Heather?
I did not send these to Karen, sorry. On page 1, the paragraph towards the bottom, since student rep Maeve, that one at the end, it says Mental Health Week, which will take place from May 29th to April 3rd. I think that should be April 29th to May 3rd. And then on page 2, in the second paragraph, third sentence in that paragraph, the board back to A, conclude the sociology discussion, remove the A, so inviting the board back to conclude the sociology discussion. And that's it for me.
Any other, Gianna?
Right. I just wanted to add a sentence onto page 1 of 5, where it says Brian Cisneros publicly thanked Rachel. I thought I just discussed it with Brian to add what he had actually said why. So Brian Cisneros publicly thanked Rachel, especially for her work in assisting the development of the DEIJ program at Conval School District, Brian's place of employment. And then page 5 of 5, to the last paragraph, add Gianna Jelsey reiterated that she has suggested establishing a legislative subcommittee multiple times for this exact reason. This is after it says Heather Smith's sentence. It says Heather acknowledged the idea and is suggested here in July goal setting. And Karen, I'm sending these to you right now.
Okay, any other corrections?
Does Karen have those changes?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, seeing none, all in favor of approving the minutes from April 17th as amended? 6 in favor, the student rep in favor. Any abstentions? Renee Bennett will abstain. Okay, we will move to announcements from the district.
Good evening, Misty Lowe from Massway School. As you can imagine, this is becoming a very busy time of year, and time is moving very quickly, so there are a lot of exciting things that will be happening, a lot of important things coming up. First, I want to make sure that I mention that Teacher Appreciation Week is next week. Although we have a variety of plans in place to celebrate our teachers, our staff, I wanted to be sure that I took a moment tonight to publicly thank all teachers, paraeducators, custodial, kitchen. We're just a genuine team at Massway School, and without everyone doing their part. Special education next week is also a time where our speech and language pathologists will be celebrated as well. So I just wanted to take a minute to make sure that we all knew that next week is Teacher Appreciation. Otherwise, in May, we have 2 special events. The high school's coming over with their child development class to spend some time in the classrooms with our students on May 8th, which is very exciting. And the middle school's coming over for Service Palooza to be reading with our kindergartners and first graders on May 17th. We love having students from the other buildings, middle school, high school, come back to Massway if they're alumni, or just come to Massway in general and be in our building and engage with our kids. We do have kindergarten screening coming up. I don't know if you realize this, but it's going to be the class of 2037 that we are bringing in this fall. And I want to be sure that families know we do have kindergarten screening and orientation scheduled for May 28th and 29th, and potentially also May 30th because of the high enrollment coming in, and it's happening at the same time that we're doing SAS testing. Therefore, we may hold 3 separate screening and orientation to be sure all of our families are able to come in a small ratio and get the one-to-one that they need to learn about the school, the district, and to meet the teachers. So kindergarten screening, class of 2037, please register if you're listening and you have a kindergartner who is not currently registered. Also, Massway has its annual art show on May 30th from 5:30 to 7:30. It's a fun event, and it's a way to celebrate the art that's happening in the school. It's beautiful. It's really just a drop-in from 5:30 to 7:30, so whatever's best for your family. I know spring sports and things like that have started, so you're welcome to just drop in, walk the hall, see your child's artwork. There's no need to stay for the full 2 hours. We're doing work to try to start transitioning for our 4th graders who are rising to 5th grade. So Principal Sullivan and Counselor Gom are working with our counselors and myself to be sure that they have an opportunity to come to Massway, meet with our students, answer any questions that they might have about the transition to the middle school. And Counselor Gom's actually coming on multiple occasions. She is working closely with Erica Talbot, our school counselor, and they're trying to do a variety of new things to enhance the experience of that transition. So she's eager to get to know the kids as well as she can, as soon as she can. So that's wonderful. Last but not least, I wanted to share that Massway PTO has an annual May Fair that's big digs, May 31st, 5:30 to 7. It's a wonderful community event, and that's happening on May 31st. I think I'll pause there. There's a lot of more exciting things coming in June, but I'll save that for the next time.
Misty, I know this is going to happen when David's up and Bill's up and Becca's up. Can you send a memo out, all 4 of you, outlining the upcoming events on the 4 buildings, because it's going to be so comprehensive that it'll be hard to keep up with.
Who would you like me to send it to?
Send it to me, and I'll send it out to the board.
Absolutely. Any questions for me? Yes, sir.
The art show is on what date?
That is on May 31st. It's a Friday from 5:30 to 7.
Thank you.
Wait,
My
Any
pleasure.
other questions?
is that the art show, or is that?
The art show's the night before May 30th.
Oh,
May 30th?
Do I have the days wrong?
No, the 30th is what you said. You said the 30th from 5:30 to 7:30 for the art show, and May Day was the 31st from 5:30 to 7.
That's correct.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, David Goldsmith from Mohermet, from here. Welcome all to our lovely, wonderful school. Welcome to new board members. I haven't been to a meeting since you've been on, and welcome back to returning board members. One of the testaments, I think, to the work that Mohermet and Mastway have done, at least through my whole tenure, and I know that Dr. Morse began that before I arrived, is to really work on consistency of programming and experiences for a lot of our students. So I have a lot of the same information to give you. We are excited to, of course, have the child development class come to Mohermet after they've been to Mastway. We work in conjunction with Mastway to create kindergarten screening events. Ours are going to be in the beginning of June, but we're having those as well. We're also taking part in all of the transition work with the middle school. It's been wonderful to work always with Misty, and now to collaborate with Principal Sullivan on how all of that happens between the two elementary schools transitioning to the middle school, and then our counselors and all of that. So those events will be happening in both buildings. Things that happened at Mohermet specifically that I haven't had a chance to update you on. It took 2 extra rain dates, but we finally did have the performance of Finding Nemo Jr. I'm sorry that it had to happen on a school board night, but it just shows you how exceptionally engaged our community is, because it is not easy to schedule that auditorium. So that was the day that we could do it. The students were amazing. It was a really, really great production. And it was really special, the amount of community members and staff members who took part to work on that, from Beth Struthers, our director, and Jessica Cabral, our assistant director. Our art teacher, Tricia Hall, she worked with a number of parents and students, 4th graders, who built, created, painted, and designed all of the set pieces, which was just so amazing for the students to be able to interact that way, and to have parents see we did that. We helped make this. This play could not have happened without that type of collaboration. Hannah Bartos is a community member who did our costuming work. She's been working with Ms. Struthers many times. Of course, Alexander Taylor, who's here tonight, did our sound and our lights. And really just the community involvement with that production was pretty fantastic. The other thing that happened that's big for Mohermet since we last met was our pancake breakfast. We did have a fabulous Saturday for that. We had about 800 people here at the school, which was really great. We sold our syrup. We sold out of that very quickly. We had T-shirts. That was our 20th pancake breakfast. We've been syruping for longer than that, and we've had more than 20 years, but because of the COVID pauses, it was technically our 20th breakfast, so we had some special T-shirts that we sold. And of course, we need to think about Jim Davis, who is, of course, an amazing Madbury citizen who has been doing our sugaring work since the beginning. He helped build the Sugar Shack. The teachers who originated sugaring at Mohermet came back to visit, which was pretty awesome to have them be able to see that those traditions that they began have turned into what it has been for so many years, and to see the community really involved in the sugaring program and in the pancake breakfast was pretty awesome. The other special thing about what happened was this was the 2nd year that we've been able to have a 4th grade pancake breakfast committee. We had students from every 4th grade classroom take part in the committee. They worked. They gave up recesses and some lunches. They would eat as a group with Ms. Whalen, our PE teacher who ran that, and she got help from Ms. Curtin and some other teachers to organize them. They wrote letters to community organizations for donations. They advertised around school. They came and worked the day of the breakfast. They just were a tremendous addition to the program, and they really were able to take some leadership on that. We're hoping to continue that, of course, every year. It was really fantastic. So, great day. You know that we have an enrichment theme every year. This year it's the Year of Water, and our Day of Water is on Friday, May 31st. We'll have a full day of events for all of our students. It's always choice-driven for our students. They get into mixed grade groups, mixed peer groups, and they do all sorts of different activities this year around the theme of water. We have a number of staff members. We have a number of community members, parents, taking part in running centers, which is fantastic. We have some teachers able to come and do some work. We have some students running centers. It's really a special day, and that's been happening in Mohermet for years and years, and we love being able to celebrate that tradition. It is, well, I don't want to repeat everything that was reported about the consistencies between Moherman and Mastway, it is important that I also acknowledge that it is Teacher Appreciation Week next week, and our teachers, our entire staff do such an incredible job here, from everybody in every room across the building, from custodians and the people who work in our kitchen to our paras, our tutors, our interventionists, our providers, our classroom teachers, our encore teachers, people in our office and in our workrooms. It's really a very compassionate and engaged community building for learning, and I'm proud to be a part of it, so I appreciate them all. Questions, thoughts for me? Anything? Awesome.
Thank
Thanks.
you for hosting.
Yeah.
Good evening. Bill Sullivan, Oyster River Middle School. I've got a ton of stuff to go over, not a lot of it the same, so it might take me a few minutes. I guess I'll start by saying, I'm really excited about Teacher/Staff Appreciation Week as well. Worked with my PTO, and there's going to be a lot of great activities and, things of kindness and great stuff for our staff next week, and we're looking forward to celebrating all of them. We got a couple great things that happened that I'd like to report on. We had a great trip to Nature's Classroom with our 6th graders. They were there for 2 nights up in Freedom, New Hampshire. That was rescheduled from the crazy snowstorm the week before. They got 20 inches of snow and huge trees fell through, I think, part of some of their cabins. Luckily, we rescheduled, and the next week we were able to go. Well, they got rain. I know they were wet. They were soggy, but they came back lots of smiles. So that was a very successful trip for the 6th grade. I just returned with the 8th graders. We took our 8th graders, 130 of them, to D.C. Last Saturday we left, and we came home on Tuesday. 3 nights in D.C. We did some amazing touring. We were up long hours, long bus rides, but the kids had a great time, and I know everybody's talked about they've really created some memories that they'll have for a long time. Currently, right now, we've got our robotics program. They're at Worlds in Dallas, Texas. We've got 3 teams competing. I talked to Coach Silverio today through texting. First of all, he wants to thank everyone for the support here from the board level, and to know that he really appreciates it, and the teams are doing great down there. There are currently 1 team's working with a team. They work in pairs with some of the trials that they do, some of the testing that they do, and competing. They work on teams, and they get matched up with teams. One of our teams is working with a team from Utah, one's working with a team from Indiana, and one of our teams is working with a team from Saudi Arabia. So some great stuff happening in Texas, and closing ceremonies at Friday, so I'm sure John will be sending us notes to see, and letting us know what's going on down there. It's exciting. Music. We've got a lot of music going on in our place. May 4th, which is this Saturday coming up, we are hosting. Mrs. Kuhn and Mr. Boulay, our band teachers, are helping host the MHMEA. I'm not exactly sure what that stands for, but that is a gigantic Southeast Music Festival. And they're hosting that at the middle school, using all our great facilities. It's an all-day event, and they have big concerts, I think, starting at 6 o'clock. It'll be chorus and band. So there'll be schools from all over the Seacoast, at least 15 schools, hundreds of kids. I know they ordered a ton of pizza for lunch, and I'm not even going to tell you how much it costs, because it's a lot. May 14th, we have our middle school and high school spring orchestra concert, and that'll be in the middle school concert hall at 6 p.m. On May 29th, we have Bandapalooza, and that'll take place on the turf field at Oyster River Middle School, and that starts at 6 o'clock. On May 17th, we have Service Palooza, as Misty alluded to. All our kids in school, 620 of them, we'll get them out doing service projects. Some will be right in our school community, some will be here, some will be in Mastway, throughout our towns and throughout the Seacoast area doing community service projects. We'll have them all out working. It's a great day. May 23rd, this is new for us, and I think I might have alluded to it last time. We're having a humanities night at Oyster River Middle School, and that'll be from 6 to 7:30, again on the 23rd. And this came out of our art show that we've had for many years, and we wanted to make it bigger, and we wanted to include more people. And we've got everybody from art, music, world language, health, PE, STEM, language arts. There's going to be all kinds of activities, booths set up. It's going to be an amazing night. Again, the first time we've done it, but I'll tell you, the support and rallying around it's going to be amazing. So that's something that's going to be exciting. Our fifth graders, they're heading to Mara Vista. They're going to be heading next week. We've got a team, the two-person teams will be heading out on Monday through Wednesday, and then the three-person team will be heading in Wednesday and coming home on Friday. So that'll be a fun trip for our fifth graders. We've got a couple dances and socials coming up for our kids. This will be the last ones of the year. We call this Service Month. So the proceeds and everything we raise from these this dance and the social will go to end 68 Hours of Hunger. The dance for 7th and 8th grade, that'll be on May 10th, and that's from 6 to 8. And our social will be for 5th and 6th graders, and that'll be on May 31st from 5:30 to 7. Our student leadership committee, SLC group, made up of 7th and 8th grade student leaders, are sponsoring a food drive, and they're trying to collect 5,000 items of food over the next few weeks, and all donations will be made to 68 Hours of Hunger. I'm sorry, not all, but they'll be sharing the bounty that they're collecting with local food pantries and end 68 Hours of Hunger. Transition days were talked about. I'm going to be heading over to Mastway. I'll start with Moherrin. I'm coming to Moherrin. I'll be here on May 29th to talk to 4th graders about what 5th grade looks like and what they can expect in middle school. And I'll be going to Mastway on the 31st to talk to Mastway students. And that's exciting and fun, and I know kids will have a ton of questions. I did it last year, and when they heard we had ice cream, that's all I had to say. And they were really fired up. And then lastly, because I know the next meeting we'll be sharing dates will be, I think, the 5th. On June 4th, we have incoming 4th grade parent night. So incoming 4th grade parents will come, we'll tell them all about 5th grade, answer questions, and hopefully alleviate some of those fears of the big middle school. And that'll be at 6 o'clock on June 4th. And one other thing I want to talk about that we've been doing recently that I was reminded of today is we're doing something called Sci-Fri, or Science Fridays. And that's something Miss Bissell, our 6th grade science teacher, has started. And she's collaborated with UNH professors and reached out to UNH and said, hey, can we get some people to come in here? We have some parents, but we've also had just other colleagues at UNH that want to come in and share science with our kids. And we do it every other Friday. So on a white day that's a Friday, that's a flex period for us right in the morning, anybody can come down to the auditorium, the concert hall, and watch and listen to the presentation that's being made. We've had some amazing presentations by people, and not everybody comes, but we've had every week, there's been or every other week, but every time it's happened, there's been more and more interest, and the topics they talk about are amazing. Some of it is stuff I've never heard of, but they really make it kid-friendly. One of them was an invasive species, talking about these insects that are underneath the leaf litter. Just amazing stuff. So a great shout out to Sue and her collaboration with UNH. Any questions? All right. Thank you.
Good evening, Rebecca Noe, Oyster River High School. First, I don't know if you've driven by the high school recently, but on the Friday of vacation, we had what Maeve and I are calling Oyster River Flair put up. So we have new flags in the parking lots. We have some new designs kind of over the theater door that's in the parking lot, in the courtyard. The senior core is going to be done a little bit later. They get 10 days in between when they have to repaint, when they actually apply, but they have pillars that are decorated. So we're going to redo those for the senior core also. But if you want to go by and look at that, the school's looking very good. We had the compass redone. It had some gouges in it that was right in the middle that tells people where to go in the building. So some really nice things done to the building. So it's looking really good for the kids. And we're having our Healthy Mental Health Week this week. So Friday, our Student Senate has prepared kind of like a flipped pep rally. It's not something where we go out and like have classes go against one another, but it's activities that individuals, all the kids sign up for. So every student is signing up for 2 activities. There's multiple games going on all over the building. They could sign up for reading a book outside. They could sign up for playing basketball in the gym. They could sign up for playing something on the field. And so teachers are running all of those different events. I think right now there's actually like almost 20 different events and more are being added, but teachers came up with some of those ideas, Student Senate came up with some of those ideas, and it's the first time they've done this, and so they've done a really good job organizing that. And Maeve's going to talk about some other things that were going on this week too. We do have class elections coming up, so that went out to students last week. Students can find the paperwork on Schoology. I also sent it to all the students, but they can still find it on Schoology. That paperwork is due by May 10th. They have an interview between May 10th and May 23rd, and then the elections, the speeches and elections are for freshmen on May 28th, and then for sophomores and juniors on May 29th. And so I just want to make sure parents know about that, so if they think their student wants to run for class office or for our next school board student for next year, they can encourage them to do that and know where the kids can get the paperwork. Teacher Appreciation Week is next week. So we have a lot of fun things planned. I'm not going to list them now only because it's a surprise for teachers, but on Sunday night I email them, and so they'll get a list of what's happening throughout the week and the surprises. And it's for our teachers, our staff, every single para in the building, their teachers also. They spend so much time and so much hard work for our kids. And so I know we get to acknowledge them throughout the year, but this is a really special week that we love planning, and it's a lot of fun, and I really hope they enjoy it. Also, a huge thank you to our PTO. They've planned lunch for later in the week, and so I know our teachers really, really enjoy coming down and having lunch prepared for them. And so a huge thank you to the PTO also. Our Community Change Maker Challenge, that's at UNH. John Bromley is the teacher mentor who's been working with his environmental science classes, so we have quite a few students who are involved in that. And it's where they are basically using creative and innovative ways to solve community problems. And so after they actually present, we'll have a list of names of the kids who presented. But that is May 10th at UNH if anyone is interested in going, and you can sign up online. I did want to talk about Senior Week, and so the senior class officers have planned an amazing Senior Week. I sent an organizational flyer that parents can put on their fridge if they would like to out to the seniors last week. Parents will get that in the newsletter this Friday. But on that Monday of Senior Week, which is June 3rd, there's going to be a carnival, and that's during the school day. On Tuesday is a cruise, a dinner cruise for seniors. Wednesday, they'll go to Canopy Lake and actually have pizza there, and they'll be home about 7. Thursday is our senior scholarships and senior awards that night. And then Friday is the big day for graduation for June 7th. Underclassmen awards are May 16th. Prom is May 23rd. And our teacher workshop day is the next day, May 24th, so no school that day. Any questions for me?
When is the science showcase?
I will have to talk to John Bromley and Celeste Best. They have not given me a date for that yet, but it's usually around the time of Senior Week. It was usually that Monday, which would be June 3rd, but I don't know if they're having it a week early, but I will check with them and give you that date next time. Okay, thank you.
Okay, announcements from the board. Go ahead, Brian.
Tonight on Channel 9, New Hampshire Chronicle, has to be probably over right now, our very own OR graduate, Jack Edwards, is going to be, trying to think of the word, but it's a special on him because he's retiring as the Bruins announcer. Recognized. I remember growing up in Massachusetts when he worked at Channel 5 as a sportscaster way back. I will not disclose what years that was, but it was a long time ago. And to work his way up to where it was, and he's always come back to his roots. He's always helped out Oyster River. He's always helped out UNH, where he went. He was also very good friends with Paul Bamford. Did a lot of fundraising with Paul, as we all know. But it's nice to see one of our own get, be recognized and rise to the level that he did. So congratulations to Jack, and hopefully, I know I DVR'd it, but you can probably go onto the MUR website and probably watch it later if you want to. So.
Go ahead, Heather.
So Denise and I realized after the last meeting that neither one of us had said anything about pancake breakfast, and it was awesome. And kudos to everyone who put that together. And then a special shout out to Principal Goldsmith for getting the music going for the fourth graders so they could do their 2 Nemo songs. The Mrs. Struthers was ill that morning and unable to attend, and there were several heartbroken fourth graders whose parents had come out to watch them, and he managed to get that going, and the show went on, and it was great. And so, good job.
Go ahead, Jim.
I just want to re-announce the fact that the DIJ community event is happening tomorrow. It's regarding belonging in the community, and that's from 6 to 8, and it'll be in the middle school. We'll start out in the orchestra hall, where there'll be a panel with 3 folks telling their personal stories about their feeling of belonging or not. And then we'll break out into sessions for group discussions and some cookies. That's from 6 to 8 tomorrow at the middle school. Please come.
Any others? Okay. We will move on to the assistant superintendent.
Good evening. Just a few updates. We have our 4 teacher workshop days in June. 2 of those are going to be virtual, but the 2 that are in person, we've already started planning. So right now we have some district-wide work that will be happening with our counseling. It's a continuation of the work that we've started. Our health, K through 12 health teachers will need to get back together again. There were some changes to the standards, and they'll have to be looking at their curriculum. Library media specialists, our social studies, hopefully K through 12 social studies will get back together again and do some work. We have other work that's going to be happening that is more focused by grade level. We have 5 through 12 alignment for world language and some math alignment that's going to be happening. We have Eureka Squared K through 5 work that's going to be happening. We have some CPR training that we need to do as well, so we will be doing that. And we have some other work that we're trying to get together right now. But I just wanted to, I know there was some question about what we would be doing during that time period, so we really are working hard to make sure that we can gather groups of people that need to collaborate and utilize that time to its fullest potential. And so leadership met this morning for about an hour and a half and worked through some of that, and we'll continue to do that to make sure that we take advantage of those 2 days to do some curriculum work. Also, I just wanted to, again, thank the principals and leadership team for working together to plan some of this professional development, because there's a lot of people that are, everybody has priorities and everybody's trying to pull people in to do work, and we've captured this time. But everybody's been working together really, really well, and I think we're going to have a wonderful plan. And I'd like to thank the digital learning specialists also, because they've been doing a lot of work on the virtual side of things, and I'm meeting with them again this week to talk about what that's going to look like, if we're going to have synchronous or asynchronous happening, what the courses are going to look like, what are the requirements, and all of those different pieces. So there's a lot of people working with me to make those days really successful and to take advantage of that time. And at this time, I'd really like to invite Kara Sullivan up, and she's going to introduce the students, or the students will introduce themselves. But I just want to say that Kara, I had the privilege of working with Kara when I was at the high school. She is an incredibly dedicated educational professional who really does inspire her students, and so I'm really happy that she's here today with her students. Kara.
Thank you so much, Suzanne. Good evening, Kara Sullivan. Thank you for welcoming the Oyster River High School debate team here tonight. We're really looking forward to talking to you. So I've been the high school debate team coach since 2017, and actually I remember talking to then Principal Filipponi about starting a debate team. And a couple of students had proposed it to me, so we met with her, and she was wholeheartedly enthusiastic about it, and I've always appreciated her support from that point forward. Carrying that torch forward, Principal Noe has been an incredible support to us as well. We've hosted tournaments under her watch, and we've also given funds to go to tournaments, and Rebecca Noe has also been a judge for us, which is a huge time commitment. So we really appreciate both of their support. We truly thank them. Our team participates in the New Hampshire Debate League, and students will talk to you a little bit more about what that is, but it was founded about 6 years ago. I helped to found that with 3 other area teachers, one from Portsmouth, one from Bedford, and one from Phillips Exeter Academy. Before that, there was not a New Hampshire Debate League. So students could debate, but they typically had to go to tournaments in Massachusetts or Maine or somewhere like that. So that's the league that we currently debate in. We started, as I said, about 6 years ago, and now we have 10 schools participating in that debate league. So tonight, 6 of our current debate team students are here. This isn't the entire team, but these are the 6 that could come tonight and wanted to present to you. Each student will introduce themselves and talk about a slide that they have taken on. And I just wanted to take a minute to say how proud I am of these 6 students and their peers who could not be here tonight. They are so dedicated. They do so much work outside of school to go to these tournaments. And they are always having an eye forward to the future of the debate team. So this is what this is about tonight. So thank you for having us.
There we go. Okay. Hi, I'm Annika. I'm currently a junior at the high school, and I'm also a co-captain on the debate team. So over on the left, we've got the picture. This is my freshman year on debate team. There were just 6 of us. It was mostly upperclassmen. And then if we go to the picture on the right, we see we've grown so much over these past few years. There are almost 12 of us now. And it's a really good mix of underclassmen and upperclassmen, which is so great because knowledge can be passed down throughout the different grades, and that can continuously be passed down for the younger people and less experienced debaters to come. I'm Lucy, and I'm a freshman in high school. We've been to 7 NHDL tournaments this year, and we've been able to host one, but we would love to be able to host more. You might be wondering how the tournaments work. During these tournaments, there are 4 rounds consisting of 2 speeches per debater. Most debaters have a partner, which carries another 2 speeches, but if you don't, you carry 4 speeches, 1 pre-written and 1 improvised. There are multiple rounds of questioning depending on the format of the tournament. You can use prep time during the debate to work with your teammate or ask for a source from another team. To make each round fair, there's a coin toss to decide what team gets to pick pro or con. The other team gets to decide if they speak first or second. In between rounds, we can revise points and arguments based on previous rounds. We also work closely with members from our team and Portsmouth to bring in new perspectives, overall helping us to adapt to different outcomes.
Hi, I'm Emmy. I'm also a freshman, and I'm going to be talking about the things that we gain from debate. So when we're preparing for a tournament, we have to write a bunch of speeches. They're 3 to 4 minutes long, and they have to be really informative and really persuading, and to accomplish that, we have to do a ton of research, which teaches us researching skills, organization skills, and generally just writing skills. We also have to write these speeches from both pro and con perspectives because we don't know which stance we'll be taking until the coin flip at the start of the round. This teaches us to look at an issue objectively and to see both sides of an argument. When we're presenting these speeches to the judge, we gain public speaking skills and we develop presentation styles. And during a round, there are opportunities to ask and answer cross-exam questions, and we also have to make up rebuttals to our opponent's points. And we have to use a lot of quick thinking and brace under pressure skills. And then during in a public forum style debate, we usually work with a partner, and this helps us with teamwork skills. And we also build bonds with our partners. We build bonds with our teams and the other teams participating in NHDL. A lot of these skills can be applied to school and to life. So our writing skills and our presentation skills can be applied to schoolwork and school assignments. And also the topics that we do in debate often have to do with current events. So there's a lot of economy and there's a lot of military. And a lot of times I found that in a conversation or a class discussion, I'm able to apply the knowledge that I gain in debate. And overall, it's a really great experience, and it gives us a larger view of the world and the issues around us, and it makes us better, more well-rounded people. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Chase. I'm a senior. I've been on the debate team since last year, though I've been debating since my freshman year. In this slide, I'd like to talk a bit about awards. Now, I'm sure all of you know what awards are. It's the same thing in sports. Think Most Valuable Player awards. It's the same type of thing in debate. People who score the highest are rewarded for their hard work through awards at our tournaments. There are 3 types of awards in our tournaments. The first of which is a team award, which basically goes to the best team. So as an example, you can see Mihira and Kate last year at the bottom in the middle. We also have speaker awards, which are very similar. They go to the highest scoring individual person. So as you can see on the far left, I believe that is me at our most recent tournament. And there's also novice awards, which are slightly different. They go to the top 3 first-year debaters. In the bottom right, you can see Shreya and Stella earlier this year winning that award. So some of these awards only give you bragging rights or give you a concrete accomplishment and encouragement to kind of keep going, keep up the good work. However, others actually qualify you for larger tournaments, such as, for example, the Coolidge Cup this year. 3 of our team members qualified for it. I'll go into more depth about what that actually is in the next slide, but some of them are able to actually qualify you for tournaments, and they look great on college applications as well. Speaking of our accomplishments, I'd like to now go over some of the accomplishments we have had throughout the course of this year. The first being how we've actually built our membership over the course of the year. At the very beginning of the year, we started with about 5 people consistently showing up and coming to debates. We now have about 12. So we've more than doubled our membership this year, and this is something that we hope to grow even more in the coming years, especially next year. We also have relationships with other teams up here, specifically Portsmouth, because, for example, I worked with a student, I debated alongside a student from Portsmouth earlier this year who didn't have a partner, and that experience was very helpful, not only because it helps you get to know other people who have similar interests, and also not get mad at people when you lose to them in rounds. But it's also very helpful in that you can learn more strategies from other teams that you may not have thought of, strategies or techniques that you may not have otherwise thought of, because other teams will have different captains, different resources, different people of different backgrounds. So with that, you're able to learn a lot more. In my experience, as well as I'm sure many of the other students' experiences, we've all been able to learn a lot more about debate and the various kind of techniques and strategies you can use to ensure that you're the best you possibly can be. And the third year, as I mentioned before, is that 3 of us qualified for the Coolidge Cup, which is a tournament that is over July 4th weekend in Vermont. 3 of us, myself as well as Shreya and Stella, qualified to go to this tournament. And it's hosted by the Calvin Coolidge Presidential Foundation. And like I said, you have to qualify for it. So at our most recent tournament, people who received awards, be it novice, team, or speaker, qualified to go to the tournament. So the fact that 3 of us were able to qualify this year, despite the fact that the 2 of us that did qualify last year graduated at that point, as well as the fact that 2 of the people who did qualify are first-year speakers, this is a very big accomplishment, I think, and we're definitely very proud of how far we've come this year. Thank you, and I'll now hand this off to Shreya and Stella.
Hi, my name is Shreya Joglekar. I'm a co-captain alongside Annika, and I'm a junior.
Hi again. My name is Stella. I'm a junior, and it is my first year on the team. So we wanted to talk a little bit. Oh, that's the green button. There's two green buttons. That's my bad. So we wanted to talk a little bit about moving on from NHDL and talking about kind of the New Hampshire Debate League, but we also wanted to move along and talk a little bit more about the debate opportunities that are available outside of New Hampshire, specifically focusing on an opportunity that we got at Harvard this past February.
Yeah, so this February, Stella and I were able to attend the National Forensics Harvard Debate Tournament. And I would say that Stella and I found it a really eye-opening experience for both of us. I think simply just the sheer amount of people and diversity in speakers was what really kind of helped us gain knowledge in general public speaking as well as debating. And in NHDL tournaments, we have a few teams. They're very tight-knit with similar judges, whereas, in Harvard, we were thrown into an environment where there were, at least 4,000 speakers. There were hundreds of judges, and it was international, so we got to speak with students from different states and different countries. And I think that really just strengthened our knowledge. I remember each night we would come back and we had like a whole list of everything we learned that we didn't know before. So it was a really beneficial opportunity. Alongside talking more about collaborating with other teams was Portsmouth. Since it was only Stella and I coming from Oyster River, we kind of were took in by the Portsmouth team who had around 4 teams there, so there were 8 of them, and we got to work closely with the head of debate there as well as the top speakers there, and we really got to see, it was a really good experience to look forward to. They were certainly a role model team for us as well because we got to work with them and see how they do under pressure, their collaboration and their teamwork, and how that really leads them to the success that they have consistently.
Yeah, so touching on Shreya's points, that really benefited us personally. We were not able to attend this Harvard tournament as part of an Oyster River team. We had to attend on our own, basically as an individual side team. But what we were able to get from that experience was truly so much in terms of just general debate knowledge. We were able to learn a lot about how to write speeches, to research speeches, and even just how to present speeches and to how to talk when you're talking. And so what we were also able to learn is a lot more information from the Portsmouth team, a lot of tips and tricks on debating and debate styles, and that was truly a very beneficial experience for us. But what we hope for looking towards the future is to be able to attend more of these types of tournaments outside of NHDL and with more teams from our collective debate team instead of just one individual team. We want to see more teams being able to go in the future. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and so to add more onto that, that is one of our goals for next year, and that would require, more funding for our team to be able to take more members. Like Stella had said, it was only Stella and I attending, and it was no Oyster River Association. We paid out of pocket for our opportunity, and towards the future, we're looking at multiple of our teams being able to go to events as prestigious as this to be able to gain that experience that we did, and also be able to add association to Oyster River as well. Thank you.
So as Shreya and Stella talked about, one of our goals for next year is definitely to attend more tournaments, not only just that Harvard one, but also ones around the area as well. And then, of course, we're a team, right? What do teams do? They win, right? That's what our team's going to do. So this goes back to building relationships with Portsmouth. Portsmouth is generally known as one of the top teams in the NHDL, and we've learned so much from them, and our team has grown so much over the year. me personally, I think we're in a pretty good place to start getting some trophies. A lot of trophies. At least that's the goal. So that's one of our biggest plans for next year. And then we also want to continue to up our membership. So already we have so many wonderful members, and a few couldn't be here today. But we want to get some more. All sorts of people, underclassmen, upperclassmen. And we also hope to maybe go to the middle school as well and just kind of create a pipeline there. So talk to them about it, get them interested in debate, so that when they come to the high school, they can join one of the coolest clubs in the school, obviously. And then also we just have we want to continue this like mentorship that we have. So more experienced debaters are teaching younger underclassmen and younger debaters to, the ropes. And then over time, this knowledge can be continuously passed down. So it's just a great big cycle. But otherwise, funding.
Yeah, so here's just a few of the big things that we would, really appreciate the funding for. So obviously, like we had stated before, hosting or being able to send teams to events outside of NHDL, as well as hosting NHDL tournaments of our own. We attended 7 this year, only one of them being hosted by Oyster River, and so we would like to really give back to the other schools we've been attending, Bedford, Portsmouth, Spalding, and be able to host more in the future of our own. That would require, food is a driving factor in getting people to come to tournaments, and having money for trophies and awards, and also having higher quality setups for hosting, debate tournaments of a good quality.
Yeah, and then also just to continue learning, you can never stop gaining knowledge. So a lot of the debate resources are often locked behind paywalls, so that's something we want to try to explore more. So we do plan to do some fundraising so that we can get some money to actually be able to do a lot of these things, but we really appreciate it if this can be kept in mind when budget is being planned. But otherwise, thank you so much. Do you guys have any questions for us?
Thank you so much, and definitely good luck. And do you have any more tournaments this year, or are you done for this year?
We're done for the season.
Stella, and Chase are attending the Coach Cup.
Okay, cool. Cool. But my question, as far as the funding, did you explore at all? I know years ago, I don't know how they do these days, but PTO used to have money to fund specific activities such as this. And I don't know if they still do. It's been a lot of years since I've been on the high school PTO, but that might be a possibility to fund possibly a trip to a tournament or something.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. I have applied to the Alumni Association in the past, and I've received some of that funding through that, but I don't know about the PTO funding. I've never applied for PTO funding for the club.
Anyone else have any questions?
Just commendation. I just think you guys are awesome. You've done a terrific job in building a program, and this is the way you convince the school board to put funding into the budget. So I think they'll remember this presentation in the fall when they're building budgets.
Thank you.
I'd like to just say, A, thank you for coming. It was a great presentation, and it's an excellent group. And B, thank you for not asking us to debate you, because I feel like that would not have gone well. So, thank you.
You can always change the plan.
Yeah. If you need some easy practice, I'm happy to come in. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, superintendent's report.
Several things this evening, Matt. First one is I want to recognize Dave Toddy, who's in the audience. Dave, could you just stand for a second? Acknowledge that this is Dave's first day in the district as our facilities director. Wow. And we're excited to have him on board. It's been a long, dry spell in terms of leadership, and Dave comes, as you know, from the nomination papers with tons of experience, and the district looks forward to working with him in the future. So welcome, Dave. I want to share with the board that Jen Brown, our communications director, has been elected as the New Hampshire representative for the National Association of Public School Communications Professionals. As you all experienced during the hiring of Dr. Schaps. She's an incredibly talented person and is just on a fast track to be recognized nationally. She and I will be doing a national presentation in Seattle in July. It's my last official act as superintendent, and I'm looking forward to doing that. We worked on the presentation today, and she's just an amazing human being. We're very fortunate to have hired her. And then the third thing I want to commend the principals. It was Principals Week last week, and I sent it out to thank them for their leadership. You know, effective leadership is creative, innovative, open-minded, and supportive. And all of our administrators demonstrate those qualities. One of the things that has been going on since the budget passed is their engagement in the hiring process. I think Bill and Misty are about ready to drop from exhaustion because both of them have had just an inordinate number of people to replace in a very short window. And they have been doing a great job. You know, we have a budget goal when we hire of no more than a master's plus 6, which gets us plenty of experience. But occasionally we have to go beyond that. If there's a position that we just can't fill, we do hire, you know, all the way to the top of the scale if we have to. But part of the hiring process is engaging different personalities and different trainings, different colleges and universities, giving our faculty a new flavor every time we go through the hiring process. But all of the principals are very dedicated to hiring people who are student-centered first. And that's one of the qualities that I think is the most important quality. Skills can be taught. Love of students has to be part of who you are as a person. And they all watch for that. When I get candidates from them, those are the qualities I watch for as well. So the hiring process is going well, and the reason I'm pointing this out tonight is it'll have an implication later in the agenda in relation to our ability to hire a kindergarten teacher, para, and third grade teacher. So Wendy keeps a good track, Amy keeps a good track. Amy and I have been on top of this right from the point where we were concerned about kindergarten and third grade, and we're both confident that the resources are built into the approved budget so that we can move forward on the hiring. So I'll talk more about that later in the agenda. So really it's about the great job the principals have been doing this spring hiring. And that is the end of my report.
Okay. No business administrators report this evening. Maeve?
Alrighty. Well, Principal Noe reminded me that class elections are coming up, so I won't be rerunning. I'm decided to graduate and move on. So,
Tough choice.
I know
but
it was
a good
rough,
one.
but do what you have to do. Before break, we had Sus Club hosted Earth Week, so Monday you could bring a cup to Breaking New Grounds, and you got a discount if you use that. There's also Trashless Tuesday, and my favorite was Thrifty Thursday, which is they host a thrift store in the school, and it's by donation, and it's all free. So I think that's amazing that they did that, and it was just so well done. This week is Mental Health Week, as Ms. Noe mentioned. It's more of a mental wellness week. So on Monday, it was Motivational Monday. So posters were put around the school, things like, you got this, like just motivational messages that were put up during advisory, which is a good bonding activity. And then today, there was different people coming and talking about resources, and there's bingo and prizes in the NPR during advisory, so that was pretty cool. I think that's all I have because I think you stole my, no, I'm kidding. Underclassmen Awards May 16th, but that's really my only announcement, so it's okay. I'll get over it.
Thank you very much. The Finance Committee. No report, okay. We will move on to the unanimous consent agenda. There is the accepting of 2 letters of resignation, one from a district position and one at the high school. Does anyone have any discussion about that? All right, I'd like to make a motion to pass the unanimous consent agenda, including 2 letters of resignation from a district-wide position and a high school position. Second from Heather. Any discussion? There's none. I'll catch myself next time. And all in favor? 7 in favor and the student rep in favor. Okay, we'll move on to the discussion items. The first is the 2024-25 board meeting schedule that will begin in July. And I think in your folders, there's a schedule. No?
It's on
Oh,
the
it's in
folder.
your online.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any questions or any concerns about the schedule? Yes, Denise, go ahead.
The only thing I wondered about is just having our one meeting in July, and I didn't know if Robert planned to do because there was some talk, I think, possibly of a workshop where he's new, and so I just wasn't sure if there was any discussion around that at all, besides, just the one meeting in July.
Tentatively, our plan is to do, because that one meeting tends to be a kind of a light meeting, is that we do a shorter meeting and have the workshop directly after that, if that fits everybody's schedule. Is this a motion to accept this calendar or just for a review?
It has to be approved by the board, so you need a
Okay. If anyone, yeah, go ahead, Brian.
Motion to approve.
A motion to approve from Brian. Give me a second to catch up here. And a second
I'll second.
from Renee. Any discussion?
One question.
Yes, go for
Just
it.
for clarification, our
Yep.
joint board meeting with Barrington, didn't we go there last year? And here this year? So this should be, so the Barrington SAU should be here, right?
Yes.
Is that all?
Yeah, we should be hosting.
I think we've actually gone 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, they should come.
yes. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor of approving the schedule for the 2024-25 school year for the board as amended? 7 in favor, student rep in favor. Okay. Next is the consideration of the hiring of an additional kindergarten teacher for the next school year.
Thank you, Matt. I queued this up at the last meeting, and I'm going to actually go a little bit further tonight than I had planned. We met with the administrative team earlier today. I absolutely believe that a fifth kindergarten is critical, which also involves the hiring of a para, but the approval of a kindergarten position to take the pressure off of both Massway and Mohammed. Both of them have had not unusually high enrollment, but higher enrollment that would require us to bring in a kindergarten teacher to make sure we stay within your board policy related to class size, and that's policy 2B. So I was much more hesitant about the third grade situation. I didn't come out of the gate as strongly at the last meeting as I'm going to do tonight. The third grade situation at Mastway is we're starting as of today with 23 students per grade. She has 3 classes. The top number in your policy is 22, and you say, well, it's only one over. But this is May, not September. And a fourth teacher would bring her class sizes down to a more reasonable number. The space issue is Misty does have classroom space that she could assign. The complication with the kindergarten that David pointed out to me today is that normally we would not be informing parents which school they were going to until August. But this is the first time in many years, if ever, that we would be creating an additional kindergarten class due to the overall enrollment, and the only space to put that would be Massway. You can't do, there's no rational reason to do 2 kindergarten classes to balance it out between the 2 buildings because your numbers don't justify that. But you do need to have an additional kindergarten class to bring those kindergarten classes down two reasonable numbers. So if the board approves these positions tonight, then David, Misty, Suzanne, and myself will work through the process of how we would inform kindergarten parents, because there are going to be some people who live in what would typically be one town or the other who has to go to Massway in order to bring these classes down to a level that's rational and makes sense for these little people. So my recommendation tonight, and the funding, the reason I brought up the due diligence that the principals have been doing and staying within the budget is the savings from hiring, and there's some additional savings in health insurance that we are anticipating would cover the cost of these positions. So anytime we do hiring, you don't 100% hit the target, but I would say right now the principals have hit the target about 80%, which leaves wiggle room to create these two positions. So I'd be glad to answer any questions the board has. I just don't see any reason to wait until the next meeting for third grade. You certainly can wait until next meeting for third grade, but I'm recommending to bite the bullet tonight so that the principals can get the ads out and hire quality people for the fall. So I'll answer your questions.
Not really a question, but I think this is, it seems like we're doing this about every other year, which, not a bad thing. I mean, we're better to grow than it is for decline, but something I do in my budgets in my district is every year I add an additional teacher and para into the budget, not necessarily assigned to a class, but just for situations just like this. So it's not, you don't have to really necessarily go find the money. And if we don't hire, you don't need the para, you can always use those funds towards a teacher and utilize savings other ways. But I think this kind of just shows that in the future, I think we should be looking at it in the fall. When we do a budget, is somehow try to squeeze an extra teacher and para into that just as a placeholder in the event that we have this situation again. I mean, if we don't have it, great, that's extra money that goes back to the taxpayers. But if we do need it, it doesn't. Because right now, with a tight budget, you have to, in order to give to one, you have to take from another. I'm trying to avoid that. So, but I think, I mean, I support the hire. I don't think we really have much of a choice. We need to hire 2 new teachers. So.
Go ahead, Denise.
The only thing, and I understand about kindergarten, absolutely, but once those families start at Mastway, they're probably going to want to stay at Mastway. So, you know, and I mean, it's for another day, but that whole discussion around how do we fix this sort of perennial elementary school, you know, unbalance or whatever, because, you know, and again with the third grade, and I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but I believe that Mohammed does have room at their third grade. You know, so I just think we're really going to have to look at this long term, you know, because you're right, this keeps happening, and then one year it's this grade at this school, and then the next year it's this grade at that school. And now, you know, we create this new kindergarten at Mastway, that's going to be that large class is going to go all the way up. And, you know, we don't know beyond that, but, you know, and again, that's not for tonight, but I just really, really think that the board's really going to have to look at our long-term planning in terms of how we're going to deal with these enrollment bubbles.
I would add, Denise, that I agree with you 100%. And I agreed with you 100% 11 years ago. Yeah. When we tried to create a primary school and an intermediate school. This third grade situation tonight would not be a situation if we had a primary school and an intermediate school. Yep. So you're dead on. So I think as you look into the future, that you should look at that option again. I think we're in a different time. I think people understand it better. And this is an example of creating a position when we could have not had to create a position. And we would have been able to balance between the two schools. We're not in that position, so the only recommendation I can make tonight is to create a teacher. David's smiling at me tonight, because every year he says this to me.
Can we add to our discussion goals for this coming year. Talking about doing that.
Yeah.
Because it may end up being a reality, but at least we have to do our due diligence as a board and decide whether that's the best way to efficiently use our resources.
I mean, I don't know if it's too far out or not, but we are sooner than later.
Either way, it'd be a few years.
No, we're talking about building out our next strategic plan. I don't know if that's too far out, but it's definitely
Should at least be
something
on our list
included.
of maybe goals to talk about.
Absolutely.
So.
Go ahead.
I'll just pile on because Denise and Jim already said it, and Brian too, was the idea that having the primary and the intermediate schools, because that's something I've rattled around before, and I've actually discussed it with Jim as well. So I'm glad that we're all at least going to the idea of exploring it in a serious fashion to solve this kind of problem. And also just like to point out there's a benefit to those things beyond simply being able to balance students and teachers and not being able to have a surprise hire, is because there are different resources that are available at Mastway and Mahomet that are unique to the schools. And then if that happened, any student coming through the school district would have, if they start at the elementary school level, would have the benefit of both. Everybody would have the Sugar Shack, everybody would have the nature's stuff behind Mastway. It'd be a great thing for people in the community to have that unification right from the beginning, but also the experiences for their students. So just putting that flag in for future contemplation.
So if I need a motion,
Yeah,
if you support it.
If everybody's happy with the discussion and we're all in agreement, go ahead, Brian.
Make a motion to add a kindergarten and a third grade teacher for school year 25.
Okay, can I have a second from Heather? Any discussion?
They don't approve the paras, but I included it in my conversation, so they know.
Do we want that to be part of the?
No.
Okay. The question was, will the paras for those two teachers, those will be included in the
kindergarten.
For the kindergarten, I'm sorry. Okay. No other discussion? Okay, all in favor of the motion? 7 in favor, student rep in favor.
Thank you very much, and I'm confident that the parents and principals appreciate your support tonight.
Excellent. And the next item is the middle school enrollment staffing and update.
Hello again, Bill Sullivan from the middle school. I think I'm going to have a slide. All right. I know it's the green button. All right, so I was asked to come just talk about our enrollment in the middle school over the next few years, because for the first time, and I've been in the district, this is probably my 24th year, I think, as a district employee at the middle school specifically, and it'll be the first time that I've seen these numbers, you know, as low as they are, as I look, and as we'll all look here in a second. So what you'll see here is, or if you look on the left-hand side, obviously, those are our current years, 23, 24 current year. Those are our numbers in seats right now. This is actually of January 1st. So we may have had a couple kids move in. We may have had a student or two withdraw. But as of January 1st this year, those are the actual numbers. So I've asked the principals of the elementary schools to give me their numbers in 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 4th, 3rd, and 2nd. I think that's all I've got. Maybe kindergarten too, currently. And what I've done is projected that out over the next 4 years. So at the bottom, you know, we see this year, historically, over the last, I'd say 10, every year you've been here, Dr. Morse, that's 12 years. You know, we've been about 650 kids in the middle school. Approximately 160 kids per grade. Both teams at about 80 or 40 if you go with the fifth grade teams. That gives us 160 times 4. This is the first year we've been down to 620. So you can see the current 5th grade is at 135. Next year, and then we project out next year's 5th grade, so the 4th grade currently right now is 128. So that'll be our 5th grade next year, and then we work our way down. We get to 25, 26, and that's where it dips the lowest. Right now in 3rd grade, combined at the two schools, 118 kids. And again, that's down, from 160, that would be down from 160 2 years ago in 5th grade. And so at the bottom, if we look all the way to the right at the bottom of the list, potentially in 2027, 28, which is just 4 school years, we could be down to 509 students. And again, that's from today at 620, potentially with the kids. Again, could there be more kids moving in? Of course. But there could also be kids moving out, going to other schools. With the current kids in seats right now, we're looking at 509 students. So I've had to, have to think about this moving forward. What's our staffing look like? What's our programming look like? So, and I've had to share this with my staff. I've talked to my staff about this. So one of the things I did with my staff in March was I talked to them about these numbers, and I shared this. And this gets staff really, nervous. They think about their program, they think about their jobs, and the first thing we talked about, and I made sure everyone knows moving forward right now in this plan with the people I was talking to in my room, nobody's going to lose their job next year. Nobody. The changes that we're going to make, any changes we do make next year, we're going to be made or are going to be made through attrition and through retirements. And we have 4 retirements in our building this year. So that's going to give us some flexibility and some things, some opportunities to move some people around and to put some people in different positions, so I don't have to talk to people next year and say, this is an awful conversation. We may not need your position anymore. Your position, it has to be eliminated. We're not going to have to do that. I talked to my staff about they need to be flexible. We need to be creative moving forward, thinking about what it is we need to do. We need to be open-minded to change. Some teachers have been teaching the same thing for 20 years. Maybe it's time to think differently. What does that look like for them? I don't know. Is this an opportunity for them to try something new? And what I'm just putting that out there for people to kind of think about. I want to make sure they know what's coming down the road. And what I told them was, in the future, things are going to have to look differently. If we have 500 students in our building, this building's going to look a lot different. Our program is going to look different than it does right now, with 620 students in our building. And with support of the Guild and with the help of Suzanne, we've been able to work with teachers and plan to continue to work with teachers to attain other certifications, so they can be flexible and they'll be able to move into a different certification area that might interest them or might be of need that we need to do to make our programming work. And so an example of this year is 2 of the retirements we have, we're losing our STEM teacher, like I talked about, who's in Dallas right now. John Silverio is retiring. And so in STEM, we had an opening, and I have a science teacher an 8th grade science teacher. He's been with us for, I think, 9 years. And he was excited about that opportunity. So he's gone out on his own. He's got himself eligible to be certified. He's working with Suzanne to make this happen. And I'm going to slide him into that STEM position. And that's going to leave an opening in 8th grade science. So then we can move people around there as well. And our digital learning specialist, that's Janet Martell, she's retiring. And I have an 8th grade social studies teacher who is doing the same process, getting certified and going to do an unbelievable job filling in for Janet. I'm excited about those people. They've been doing their role, but they're excited for the challenge. They're excited for the change. They're looking forward to it, and they're going to do a great job in those new positions. But that, again, going to give me some leeway and some flexibility to move people around to fit our needs based on the enrollment that we see. So the things that we're doing now currently and things that I'm thinking about moving forward. Currently, we've already addressed some of this as in the 5th grade. So what happened last year is there was an opening in an elementary school. I can't remember what grade teacher there was an opening, but one of our 5th grade teachers said it's time for me to make a change, and they decided to move down to the elementary school. So with that, we looked at the numbers last year and said, geez, we really don't need to fill that position. So we didn't fill that position. And what that made for us, which we currently have, the model we have now is a 3-person 5th grade team and two-person 5th grade teams for a total of 7 teachers. So that was a way that, we didn't have to hire someone and then again, look at saying, geez, we're kind of overstaffed. So we've already started that process. We're in the process right now. In planning for next year, what my plan is to adjust our PE department. We've, through an opening at one of the elementary schools, one of our PE teachers is going to move to Mass Way. And they're going to be the new Mass Way PE teacher. So what that does at my school, that's going to leave me with 2 teachers. We've looked at the numbers, we've talked to the staff, and we know that, we can keep just 2 teachers in PE and not change any of the programming or the experience for our kids in PE. So that's one of the ways we're going to do that next year, thinking about enrollment and not needing to fill that position. Another way we're going to do that for next year is we're looking at numbers in world language. Our world language numbers are, because our 7th and 8th grade are going to be still at 150 to 160 kids per grade, we still are going to need a full, in this case, it's a Spanish teacher. And what I have is a Spanish teacher who took the last couple years off. They've decided not to come back. So instead of going out and hiring a full FTE teacher, we're going to use one world language, a contracted service, to have a 0.5 Spanish teacher that will teach our 7th and 8th grade, one of our 7th and 8th grade Spanish classes. 5th and 6th, because those numbers are lower, we don't need to fill that role. So that'll be a 0.5 position there coming up next year. Looking toward the following years, sorry. What else am I doing here with? Okay, and I got a bullet up there about social studies. So again, I'm taking one of my social studies teachers in 8th grade, I'm moving them to the digital learning specialist. Instead of going out and hiring a full-time, not a full-time, but a permanent social studies teacher, what my plan is to hire a 1-year social studies teacher, and that'll give, for next year, and that'll give me some flexibility to say, when we know the numbers are getting lower, will I have to, I guess, let somebody go? And that's what I'm trying to avoid. So if we hire a 1-year, that'll give us a year to look at that and say, hey, what can it look like? The thought is in 6th grade, what we would do is possibly have a 3-person team. And we've done this in the past. We'd have a 3-person team and a 4-person team. We're not ready to do that right now. We need to figure out, how we can do that best for our kids. And I think that would be in the following year. So, and the other part of that is I really want to try to keep our cores together. The core of the middle school is our core teachers, and I really want to keep our 4-person teams together with subject-specific social studies, language arts, math, and science. And if we can do that, at least for another year, I think that'll give us, again, an opportunity to look at that over the course of the next year and see where the enrollment goes. I'm hopeful that we see a little more movement in real estate in this district. We see more people moving in with kids, and we'll see our numbers start to go up. We'll see what that looks like. So, well, wait a minute. I'm going to go back one. Thank you. So if I look at 25, 26, that's 2 years. 2 years from now, we're going to continue to look closely at the world language numbers. Again, if the trend continues with the lower numbers and again, specifically with Spanish right now, are we going to need to continue to have a full-time teacher? At this point, we're going to do 50% next year. The following year could be 25%, and then we may not need that teacher down the road. Again, when it fills up, maybe we need to reevaluate and say we need to hire another teacher full-time in that area. The other piece that we'll be looking at, again, is that 6th grade team structure, like I talked about. Do we change that structure? And again, we got to look at the numbers and see where we're at, but we're giving ourselves an opportunity to, try it next year and see what that looks like, and if we need to change, we can make that change. So our future plans, what we hope to do is, reassign staff when we have open positions possible. And that's what we want to do. We don't want to have to let teachers go. We want to be able to move people around. We want to continue to match our staffing enrollment with flexible planning. Again, we'd like to, move people around. I think it's a great opportunity for staff. When I talk to staff about it, some people are really excited about it. They say, geez, this is a great opportunity for me, something new, change of pace, I'm excited. Some people are a little more hesitant, and that's okay too. But they know it, they may need to do this, so it's giving people an opportunity and a chance to change. And lastly, we've talked about this a little bit. Currently, we have 2 students in the middle school who tuition in because of the great programs we have at the middle school. And that's something I'd like to investigate, recruiting more kids. And how can we recruit some kids to come to the middle school, more students? It would just be a great opportunity for us, great opportunity for them, and we'd like to see that build our our programs and our enrollment. So I guess just to wrap up, we met next year's goals by adjusting PE and looking at world language and adjusting that. And looking ahead, we'll discuss our team structures in the 6th grade, as well as keeping our eyes on the world language and the numbers that we'll have coming in. Any questions?
Just before the board goes to questions, Bill, I just want to share the work that you've done with the faculty to get their mindset into looking at new opportunities. Having teachers actually work with Suzanne to get certified or get on a track to be certified so that they can continue to work at our middle school is a goal that we should be putting front and center.
Sure.
It's a very students-focused approach. It supports our children. It supports our commitment to the staff that we have. And attrition and retirements and people who move on have given you an unusual opportunity to readjust people's assignments. And I want to commend you and Alita and the faculty for really thinking through this particular issue, because it could be one of those issues that is divisive and destructive if you just go at it with a hatchet. So I want to commend the board, commend you in front of the board for the approach you've taken, because I've not heard any panic attacks.
Good.
Normally, when we're looking at shrinking staff, people get really personal and they get angst. And I think that you both have handled this extremely well.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Denise.
Just going way back when my son was at the old middle school, his 5th grade was actually the elementary school model. He had Miss Milerva.
Yes, I remember, right next door to my classroom.
Yeah. And then 6th grade was a 3-teacher team. So it's not like we haven't done that before.
Exactly.
It's been a while, but, and maybe it isn't ideal necessarily that you have that awkward, that extra subject that you have to fit. But it certainly has been done before, and, my son succeeded in that, so I'm sure it can work.
I agree, and I think it can happen, and, our staff and we've talked about it as a staff, and I've talked about it with the 6th grade, and, they know, none of them, unfortunately, have done that, so they've all been very, subject specific over the years, but talking to them, I know I've had some people that are like, that's something, if that has to come, we can work with that. I would just need support, and that's what we've told them we'll do.
Go ahead, Brian.
Great idea on the recruiting out-of-district students. I mean, that's something that a lot of districts are doing now. My district is doing it because we have a great graphics arts program at the high school, but with the new middle school, and I think at one point we had like 4, maybe 5 kids tuitioned in at one point, with people tuitioning their kids in with the intent of eventually buying a house in the district. Obviously, once they move in, we lose the tuition, but we gain a new family. So
exactly,
we get to budgeting in the fall. It's actually not a lot of money into marketing to actually do that, and I think between the strings program, the new building, robotics, everything else that we have.
I told John to hand out a bunch of business cards in Texas.
Yeah. It could be.
We'll see how that goes.
Could be a great recruiting tool. You're seeing more and more districts do it because we're all fighting for students.
Totally.
It's just there's a limited, there's less and less students to bring in, and we rely a lot on, unfortunately, state funding for a lot of those kids. But it just makes, I'd rather have full classrooms than half full classrooms. So.
No doubt.
And the additional funds would also give us a little bit of flexibility on keeping keeping a position versus having to downsize, so.
And I do think that when Bill and I have talked about this, we're not talking about the model we use at the high school. You know, we have a whole town send their kids to us. We're talking about recruiting a small number of kids. You know, today, one child who's paying tuition, these two kids are bringing in $40,000 because they're paying full tuition to be here. It's not a reduced rate, far less than they'd pay in a private school, but pretty pricey for a public school. And these parents are thrilled, and they pay on time. They wanted the strings program, and they wanted the robotics program, and that's what drew them.
Again, it's not going to bring in, 20 kids, but it's going to bring in enough spread across 4 grades that it can, believe it or not, that can actually make a huge difference.
Go ahead, Heather.
For the half position for world language, what does that functionally look like for the students? Because a full-time, fully sort of invested faculty member is doing PD regarding their program, is working on scope and sequence, is invested in what the arc of the program looks like, where if we bring in a contracted service, it makes sense money-wise, but functionally, what does that look like for a kiddo who has that instructor? I know we use them now, but we're using them now to sort of solve the problem that's on fire with the repeated leaves.
Right.
This isn't solving that particular fire anymore. This is something we're choosing to opt into.
Right.
And so what's that functional difference look like for those kiddos with the half position contracted service?
That's a great question. I mean, the woman we have now, we are in, she does a great job, and she is part of our, I would say, not a full part of our staff, because you're right, with the contracted service, we don't see her like we would a full-time teacher. She is part of our team meetings, she is part of the team, and she's going to continue with us next year. So I can't say exactly how she'll fit in with that whole arc of that, but that'll be a goal of ours, is to try to make that program as seamless as we can.
Bill, isn't it true that One World Language integrates their program into our program? So for the student side of it, it should be...
The students in class, definitely. I feel like the question's more like integrating with our school and with our teachers and staff and
It's
community.
just a consistency of what is happening in the classroom, because they're not having the opportunity to do the PD time that gives world language sort of that, that scope and sequence that Suzanne always talks about, and what are our fundamentals that we're covering in this year, and how we communicate expectations to a contracted service that are being developed in time spent over the summer for professional development.
I'm sorry. So I think that the World Language Department at the middle school, they do work very closely together. There are times during the school day when they do meet. And so that would be a conversation to have with Bill about how much time is this contracted service going to be, this individual going to be employed? Is there time within that frame, that half day or whatever that looks like, where we can make sure that they're available to do that collaboration? Because it is a small department, they are all located in the same area, and they're literally connected by, their rooms are connected. And so there is that opportunity for that overlap. We would just have to look at we'd have to look at their schedule and look at, to ensure that there's that collaboration time for them.
Because it's a lot of things. It's not only curriculum, it's consistency in grading and,
Yes.
and.
Yeah, and we'd have to look at which grade they're teaching. So is it a span of grades? Is it 6 through 8? Is it 5, 6? Is it, what is that span of classes they're teaching? Who are they teaching? How do they fit in? And what makes the most sense? So I don't think we can answer that now because the schedule isn't built and we don't have that information, but that's definitely something that Bill and I can look at to ensure that that person is brought into the full department.
Oh, sorry, just along those same lines. Yeah, to what Heather was talking about, you're also, the student from that teacher's classroom needs to work on something during flex. Is that burdening the full-time Spanish teacher with those extra students?
That's a great question. And those things, because we're going to, thinking about this model, these will be some of the things we have to work out. I do have an inside peek at the schedule, and the thought is we're going to have the first half of the day, so that first half would be in the first half of the day, which is when Flex is offered, so the person would be there during Flex. So that's at least my inside view.
Thank you, Jim. Go ahead.
This isn't a fully formed thought, but this is simply from having done the manifest about the amount of money that we are contracted out with One World to do the after-school elementary language program. And I was wondering if there was a possibility of looking at having that person, whoever's doing that, be the same person. And then you would be able to combine that possibly into a one person, but they would just be moving between 3 schools or something. I have no idea how exactly that works in the budget, but it's a thought.
So there are multiple languages taught after school. It's not just one language. So it would be different people. And the numbers, and they're at 2 different buildings. And there's time variation also. So I don't know if that's it would be great. I love that idea, but I don't know if that's possible.
Fair enough.
All right, any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, are there any school board committee updates? Yes, Denise.
Just that the policy committee will be meeting on May 9th at 3:30 at the SAU office.
Okay, are there any public comments for the end of the meeting?
Les Best was actually watching and got back to me, and so that science fair will be on June 3rd at 6 p.m. in the library.
Can you just hit what that is?
Well, okay. It's a science fair. What does Les call it?
Showcase.
Thank you. It's a science showcase. And so the kids have projects they've worked on actually for, it could be a couple months or a couple weeks, and they're very actually inquiry-based. It's really cool to go in and talk to them all around the library. They've done this for quite some time. It's usually the Monday of that week, but she did confirm that, so it's June 3rd.
At what time?
6 p.m.
6 p.m.
If I could just remind the principals, all the principals, please get all your dates and memos to me so I can get them out to the board. There's an enormous amount of dates that you put out tonight. And
I usually make an end-of-the-year calendar that has as much stuff on there as possible, so I'll get on that this week.
I need to know, I can always tell when I need to stretch, when your post-it
When I
note
have
is
my
like
pages.
7, yeah. Thank you very much, I appreciate that. Okay, closing actions. We will talk about our future meeting dates. We have, on this piece of paper, it says May 15th. I believe that is actually the same. Nope, it is the 15th. Ignore me. And I thought we had a Thursday meeting on here. That is the 20th.
Yeah, it's in June.
The late June
Yeah.
one.
Okay. All right. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
We need public I don't think there's any, but you should call for it probably. Public comments?
Oh, I did. That's what, yeah. I'm sorry. Are there any other public comments?
Sorry.
No, I appreciate the reminder. Before we do the motion to adjourn, I apologize. I just one last time would like to say thank you to Principal Goldsmith and the staff and Alexander for having the meeting at Mohermet. It's a beautiful school. Massway's a beautiful school. It's always fun to get out and see the district. So thank you very much. Now, can I have a motion to adjourn from Heather and a second from Brian? All in favor? 7 in favor, student rep in favor.